There is something happening right now that most people can feel but cannot name. You work harder than your parents did, you earn more on paper, and yet somehow, every month, it feels like you are falling further behind. By the end of this video, you will understand the exact economic mechanism quietly dismantling the middle class from the inside, and the specific moves that separate the people who survive this shift from the ones who never see it coming. Think about this for a second. You have a job, maybe a decent one. You pay your rent or your mortgage, you cover the car, the groceries, the kids' school, and at the end of the month, there is almost nothing left. You are not reckless, you are not spending on luxury vacations, you are just living, and it barely works. That feeling is not a personal failure, it is a structural one. And millions of people across every developed country are experiencing exactly the same quiet panic. Here's the data that should be making headlines every single day. In the United States, the middle class represented 61% of adults in 1971. Today, that number has fallen below 50% for the first time in recorded history. In Germany, the UK, Brazil, and across Latin America, the numbers tell a similar story. The middle class is not struggling, it is contracting. And what replaces it is not a gentle slide into lower income. It is a disappearance into a world with no financial floor underneath you. So what do most people do when they feel the squeeze? They budget harder. They cut the Netflix subscription, stop going out, make coffee at home. And those things are not bad habits, but they are completely insufficient. The personal finance industry has spent decades telling you that the middle class shrinks because people spend too much. But that framing is a distraction. Your latte is not the problem. The architecture of how money flows in this economy is the problem. And no spreadsheet fixes that. There's a reason this keeps happening, and almost nobody in mainstream finance wants to talk about it directly. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The people who are drifting down are not making worse individual decisions than those who are climbing up. They're operating inside a completely different financial logic, one that was built for them by default. And the terrifying part is that most middle-class households are following that default logic faithfully, believing it will protect them. It will not. Here's the core mechanism. The middle class is built on income, money that only appears when you are working. The wealthy are built on assets, money that keeps moving even while they sleep. Inflation erodes income in real terms every single year. It actually inflates the value of the right assets. So the system is not neutral, it is tilted. Every year you spend converting your time directly into dollars with nothing left to compound, the gap widens. Not because you are failing, but because the math is working against you by design. Study the financial behavior of people who have moved from middle class to genuine wealth, and a pattern emerges immediately. They did not simply earn more. They changed what they did with every marginal dollar the moment they got it. The average middle-class earner spends first and saves what is left, which is usually nothing. The person building wealth pays assets first, treats lifestyle as what remains. That one ordering difference, compounded over 20 years, produces completely different destinies. It is not discipline, it is architecture. The Federal Reserve's data is unambiguous. The top 10% of Americans own 89% of all stocks. The bottom 50% own less than 1%. In Europe, the disparity mirrors it closely. What this tells you is not that the rich are greedy. It tells you that asset ownership is the primary engine of generational wealth, and it has been almost entirely captured by one group. Meanwhile, middle-class wealth, tied up in a single home and a pension, is fragile, illiquid, and deeply vulnerable to the exact economic pressures that are accelerating right now. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Stop asking how you can earn more. Start asking what your money does while you are sleeping. Every dollar you own is either growing, stagnating, or slowly dying. Most middle-class dollars are stagnating, sitting in checking accounts, losing ground to inflation every single month. The shift is not about being rich enough to invest. It is about understanding that investing is not a reward for being wealthy. It is the mechanism that creates wealth. You do not wait until you can afford to start. You start in order to eventually be able to afford. The first principle is what I call automating the asset side. Before any bill gets paid, before any grocery run, a fixed percentage of your income goes into an account you do not see or touch, directed toward appreciating assets. This is not new advice, but the reason most people fail at it is that they treat it as optional. It is not optional. It is the foundational move. Start at 5% if that is all you have. The amount is almost irrelevant at the beginning. What matters is that the mechanism is in place and running. The second principle is diversifying across asset classes before you feel ready. Most middle-class wealth lives in a single property, which sounds like an asset, but behaves like a liability if your income stops. True financial resilience comes from owning pieces of things that move differently. Index funds, real estate investment trusts, perhaps a small business stake. You do not need to be an expert in any of them. You need exposure to multiple engines pulling in the same general direction, growth, even when one of them stalls. The third principle is investing aggressively in income-generating skills, not just credentials. The credential arms race has produced a generation drowning in student debt for degrees that do not move the income needle. What does move the needle is developing a skill that solves a specific, expensive problem for someone who can pay. Sales, financial analysis, coding, copywriting, negotiation. These are not glamorous, but every one of them can be learned in under a year and can meaningfully alter what you charge the market for your time within 24 months. Now here is where most people fall apart, even after they understand all of this. They wait for the perfect moment. They want to feel financially stable before they start investing, which is exactly backwards. Or they try everything at once, get overwhelmed, and abandon the whole system after 2 months. Some discover index funds and then spend more energy checking the market daily than they ever spent on their savings. The move is embarrassingly simple. Automate, diversify modestly, build one skill at a time, and leave it alone long enough to work. Here is what you do starting this week, not someday. This weekend, open a separate investment account and set up an automatic transfer of whatever you can spare, even $30. Next week, pick one index fund or ETF and make it your first recurring purchase. In the next 30 days, identify one high-value skill you could develop that the market rewards and find a free resource to begin. In 90 days, review your asset exposure. These are not giant leaps. They are the exact small actions that, performed consistently, separate the people who quietly build wealth from those who quietly wonder where it all went. Here's the question I want you to sit with. If the middle class as we knew it is genuinely disappearing, and the data suggests it is, then the real question is not whether this is happening. It is which side of that divide you will land on, and whether you are making that decision consciously or by default. So I want to know, what is the single biggest obstacle between you and actually starting? Is it knowledge, capital, fear, or something else entirely? Tell me in the comments, because the answer might be more telling than you think.